I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawah Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And this is Shabai from the GMS Denver camp. And today, through the Spirit, I'm going to go ahead and go in on Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. All right, so without further ado, starting out at the top, it says, "And it came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month, the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of Yahawah, Bahashem Yahushai, and sat before me. Then came the word of Yahawah, Bahashem Yahushai, unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel, and say unto them, Thus saith Yahawah, Bahashem Yahushai, the Most High, Are you come to inquire of me? As I live, saith Yahawah, Bahashem Yahushai, the Most High, I will not be inquired of by you." And remember, our people have been hard-headed, stiff-necked, rebellious people, basically since the beginning. So, Yahawah, at this point, he's pissed off. You got to remember, there's a time where Yahawah, he hid his face from the Israelites. He even hid his name from the Israelites. That's why, we come up in this captivity, and most of our people are calling on false names. They don't know the ways of Yahawah Bashem Yahushai because of this reason, right? So he says, I will not be inquired of by you. So he's dealing with the elders, That's why it tells you in elders goes into leadership. So Isaiah 1 and 3, it says, 5 actually, Isaiah 1 and 5, Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. So the leadership is the head, right? So, and that's dealing with the elders. The elders, even the elders were sick. Even going off, doing wicked things, doing wickedness, worshiping false idols. And this is a constant reoccurrence in our nation. Like Yahawah always says, our people are stiff-necked, hard-headed, stiff-necked, rebellious people, right? Ezekiel 20 and verse 4. It says, Wilt thou judge them, son of man? Wilt thou judge them, cause them to know the abominations of their fathers? All right, and that's what the men are set up to do. The men of Yahawah Bashem Yahushai were set up to be the judges of the earth, right? It tells you that here in Psalms 2 and 8, maybe 9, 10. Psalms 2 and 10. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. All right, so the Lord has set up his prophets, and he's always had his prophets in every age. Okay, and he sets up his prophets for what? To judge. Okay, that's why it tells you in Corinthians. It tells you in Corinthians, let me grab that real quick. 1 Corinthians 2 and 15. It tells you 1 Corinthians 2 in the verse 15. It says, I went to the wrong. 1 Corinthians 2, 15. It says at the bottom of your screen, middle of your screen, But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. And the reason why is that the prophets are spiritual. All right, and so we're able to judge, and we're not able to be judged by the people outside of this ministry. Because you're going to judge, if you judge me, if you're not in this ministry, if you're not in this truth, You're going to judge me according to this wicked ass world, according to the opinions, according to the mindset, according to the lies that you've been taught of this world. You're not going to be judging me according to the scriptures, according to the true understanding. So this is why a spiritual man can judge all things, but yet he himself is judged by no man. Like, we can be rebuked by the elders, we can be rebuked by our brothers who are in this ministry, but you people outside of this ministry, outside of this truth, you have no say when it comes to the matter, because you're not a judge according to the Holy Scriptures. You don't even understand the laws and the ways of Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? So the Lord sets up his prophets in every age to judge his people and the heathen, right? Judge everybody. Ezekiel 20, that's why it said here in 20 and 4, it says, wilt thou judge them, son of man, and wilt thou judge them? Cause them to know their abominations of their fathers. And that's the other thing. You don't even realize the abominations, that your forefathers have committed. And then basically, you come into captivity repetitively, right? Your spirit was in captivity as an Israelite in all these heathen empires, these heathen kingdoms, and the whole time in captivity you grew up doing wickedness. You grew up doing, learning the ways of the heathen. Okay. It says, cause them to know the abominations. That's why it tells you in Ezekiel 9 and 4, it says, and Yahawah said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. It's talking to the death angels. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So the ones who are sighing and crying because of all the abominations that we're in the middle of are the prophets. We're on the street corners sighing and crying, tired of being in captivity, tired of this place, tired of seeing all the abominations that our people are involved in, whether it's transgenders, whether it's sexuals, whether it's the state of the mindset of our women. These are all abominations, whether they're even eating abominations. And we're sighing and crying to the Lord, because we want to be delivered from this place. We want the kingdom, We don't want to be stuck in the midst of these abominations forever. While you Israelites who are in the mindset that you want to heal Babylon and you want to build an empire in Babylon, America, you want to try and thrive in this place where the scriptures tells you we're cursed, you're in your wrong mindset if you're thinking in that fashion, right? So let's go to Ezekiel 20 and 5. It says, and say unto them, thus saith Yahawah the Most High, in the day when I chose Israel, and lifted up mine hand unto the seed of the house of Jacob, and made myself known unto them in the land of Egypt, when I lifted up mine hand unto them, saying, I am Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai, your power. Right? So the Lord showed us his power. He showed even the heathen his power when he delivered the Israelites out of Egypt. But yet our people, throughout the regeneration and the reincarnation, your spirit has always been here. Your spirit knows the truth. Your spirit knows Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai delivered us from ancient Egypt. But your flesh is weak, and each time you're born and reborn and regenerated and reincarnated into different captivities, the Bible tells you that there's no remembrance of the former things. So you basically you forgot of your power. You forgot your God. You forgot Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai. Alright, verse 6. In the day that I lifted up mine hand unto them to bring them forth out of the land of Egypt, into a land that I had espied for them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of the all lands. Then said I, unto them. Cast ye away every man the abominations of his eyes, and defile not yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I am Yahawah, your power. Okay, so we're supposed to, as an Israelite, you're supposed to cast away all these abominations, right? Like eating pork, eating, eating anything in the ocean that has a shell. You're not supposed to eat that. That's unclean unto you, according to the scriptures. Doing all the wicked ways of this place. Like I mentioned, the being a tranny, being a homo, being all these different abominations in the eyes of Yahawah. You have to cast that off. This is not righteousness. It's not what's going to get you saved. All right? And it's not like the pagan Christians call saved, because they tell you they've been saved since 2010. I got saved in 2010. Not understanding not understanding what salvation is. All right? So we're going to go to verse 8. It says, but they rebelled against me and would not hearken unto me. They did not every man cast away the abominations of their eyes, neither did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Okay, so it's lucky I just read that. And then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them and accomplish my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. Right? And Egypt is a Greek word for bondage, right? So you have ancient Egypt and you have spiritual Egypt. America is spiritual Egypt. And we have been in bondage both in ancient Egypt and spiritual Egypt, America. And the Most High is going to pour out his fury on our people in both places. Right? We got delivered out of both places, or we're going to get delivered out of, we already got delivered out of ancient Egypt. We're also going to get delivered out of spiritual Egypt. Okay? But this time around, the elect are going to be delivered. Okay? It's not going to be every single Israelite who, not even, you could even know the name of Yahawah B'Hashem Yahushai, the names, but that's not enough to be delivered out this second time, second deliverance. All right? Verse 9. Because there are Israelites that know the name, but they're still in wickedness, and they're not really truly coming in the spirit of Yahawah B'Hashem Yahushai. You got men out there that know the names, but they're not even bothering to teach. They're not making their bodies a living sacrifice on the street corners. And this is one of the commandments of Yahawah B'Hashem Yahushai as an Israelite man, right? But you will have the elect which cleave to the prophets. You see, because not every man is going to be a prophet, but we are a holy priesthood. So if you're a male and you're an Israelite, you should know this truth. Verse 9. But I wrought for my name's sake that it should not be polluted before the heathen among whom they were, in whose sight I made myself known unto them in bringing them forth out of the land of Egypt. And so our people have been weakened in the spirit, that because all these different captivities we've been into, we fell off, right? It tells you that in 2 Thessalonians 2, and it says here in verse 3, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. All right? So the falling away is talking about our people falling off, forgetting who they are, The tribes fell, right? And now we're in a time of remembrance. We're in a time of restoration, if you will. The Lord is restoring the Israelites, and it starts out with his prophets, and then the elect is collectively all the Israelites who repent and remember who we are. But not just remember, you also gotta take on that that like they say, born again. You gotta repent. Because knowing the name, that's one thing, but knowing the name and doing the things that are required of us to the best of our ability while we're here in captivity, that's a whole nother level. Okay. Ezekiel 20:10, it says, "Wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Egypt, and brought them into the wilderness, and I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them." Right, so he's given us his laws. He's given us the understanding. And he showed himself to us, right? We saw, in ancient Egypt, when we got delivered out of that place, when we was in, Mount Sinai, Mount Horeb, where Moses was given the law, that's when Yahawah gave us his judgments, right? And we're the only people on the planet Earth that he's dealt with, that the only ones that he's given those judgments, shown to understand the judgments, right? Because you have people here in Babylon, when some crazy shit happens, and they blame it on the devil, or they blame it on, they're like, oh, why would God allow this? Which his name is Yahawah. It's because they don't understand his judgments. It says in Psalm 147:19, "He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel." See? So that's why we understand the judgment of Yahawah B'Shem El Shai. Because he's shown us, and that's why we understand his scriptures, his holy Bible. Because he's given his word unto Jacob, the descendants of Jacob. You so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. It says, "He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahawah." That's why the so-called white man, he uses this book as a trap. He uses it as a fantasy and a fable. He doesn't teach it according to this true knowledge, right? But he doesn't know shit when it comes to the scriptures, and he don't know shit when it comes to judgment. And neither do you 2/3. The ones who don't want to come into this, in the fold of Yahawah B'Shem Yoshai, you don't understand judgment. An example is those those ICE agents that are coming hard on you, Northern Kingdom, right now, on the tribe of Issachar, namely, right? You sit there and you're like, oh, you crying on TikTok, talking about, oh, I voted for Donald Trump, I voted for Trump, and now he's deported my dad or my brother or my, whatever, because you don't understand that's judgment. It's judgment from Yahawah B'Shem Yoshai. He's allowing the Edomite to come against you like this, because why? You forgot the truth. You've casted away the thing that is good, right? It tells you that in the scriptures. Israel casts away the thing that is good. Okay? Let's see. I was gonna grab a precept. Okay, I can't remember. It just slipped my mind. So let's go back to Ezekiel 20. Where are we at? Ezekiel 20. (11). "And I gave them my statutes, I showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them." Right? So we're supposed to keep the law. The judgments goes into the script, the laws, statutes, and commandments also, right? This is how we judge our people. By the standard is the law. All right? And again, we're in captivity. It's impossible for us to keep the laws to perfection. But as an Israelite, you should know the laws, and you should, when you know a law, you keep it to the best of your ability. All right? And it's going to because the law brings forth life. That's why it's set up that way, because the law, it literally brings life. All right? The law protects you, right? Just like in Esau's kingdom, they tell you, oh, well, that law is set up to protect you, or whatever, right? The same thing with the Lord's Yahawah's law. It's set up to protect us. Like if it tells the Most High Yahawah tells you not to eat pork, well, guess what? Don't eat pork. That shit's bad for you. Just that alone is an example of the law protecting you. See? The Most High says don't commit adultery. Guess what? That's set up for you to go and sleep with another man's woman. Because why? The Most High, the punishment for adultery is death. People will die suddenly or die on a pagan holiday and wonder why. Jake sit there and wonder why. Well, I don't know why my dad died on Christmas Day. But in the meanwhile, your dad was fucking his brother's sister, and then he celebrate Christmas. Both those things are against the law. Both of those things are abominations in the sight of Yahawah. And then you can sit there and you act surprised. And it's because you don't know his judgments. Right? Verse 12. Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Yahawah that sanctify them. Right? And you're not supposed to, defile yourself on the Sabbath. So sanctify means cleanse. It's a holy day. When you're holy, you're separating yourself from all the heathen, all the 2/3. You're doing the things that make you holy, that'll cleanse you. Right? Verse 13. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. So there is always going to be consequences and repercussions for you Israelites who choose to not follow the laws of Yahawah B'Hashem Yahushai. And if you choose to just be wicked and you choose the ways of the heathen, well, go ahead. You could do that for a while until that judgment catches up to you. It says, but I wrought for my name's sake that it should not be polluted. Oh shit. God damn. Salakia. It says, but I wrought for my name's sake that it should not be polluted before the heathen in whose sight I brought them out. Right. But it wrought for my name's sake that it should not be polluted before the heathen in whose sight I brought them out. Right, and you're not supposed to defile the Lord's name either, right? You calling him God, you calling him Yahweh, you calling him Yah, all these different names, Yahuwah, you calling his son Jesus, you're defiling and polluting the Lord's name. You can't be doing that as an Israelite, as the heathen. Let the heathen call their gods whatever they want, but you Israelites, you shouldn't be calling on these false names. So you remember, our power, our God, our Yahawah, he's a jealous power. He's a jealous God, as the scriptures say. Yet also I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them unto the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands, because they despised my judgments and walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. Meaning in your mind you're praying to all these false gods. You despise the judgment of Yahawah. He set up his prophets to give you understanding. He set up his prophets to show you your transgressions. And you sit there and you despise his prophets. You despise the message that he's given to his prophets, and you despise, because when we come and teach, or when we rebuke, or when when we're out there, doing our thing, our people get pissed off at us. They get mad because, why are you talking that way? Why you speak to me like that way? And while you're holding a Bible, why are you being, why are you being so rude? Why are you saying cuss words? Because they don't understand the ways of Yahawah B'Hashem Yahushai, because they've been lied to by all these heathen, and their God is shaped off of in the fashion of the heathen. You know, the God of the Bible, he's an austere, strict, serious killer, really. You know, the Most High Yahawah, Ba'ashem Yahushai, will kill your ass. That's what you don't understand about. That's why you're supposed to fear Yahawah. You know, in pagan Christianity, they say, "Oh, you gotta love God, and everything's gonna be all right." No, but the fear of the Lord is more important than to love the Lord, right? It's more important to fear Him. Verse 17. Nevertheless, mine eyes spared them from destroying them, neither did I make an end of them in the wilderness. So the Most High had mercy, you know, because of our forefathers, because of the covenant He's made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the patriarchs, the forefathers of Israel. That's why He spared us. And then eventually it was because of the perfect sacrifice, Yahawah Shai. Okay, so when Yahawah Shai went up on that cross, He was that perfect sacrifice. And these are all examples of and reasons why the Most High didn't utterly destroy the Israelites, because of the oaths and covenants He made with our forefathers. But I said unto their children in the wilderness, walk ye not in the statutes of your fathers, neither observe their judgments, nor defile yourselves with their idols. Right? And then after Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you had many wicked Israelite kings. You had many wicked leaders of Israel who caused our people to go off and allowed our people to go off. So this is why we're in punishment under these heathen. And that precept came back to me that I was thinking of earlier. So this is what I was going to bring out. The Lord is, let me see. He uses these Edomites and these heathen to destroy us, to devour us, right? Let me see. I can't remember where it's at. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I was right there. Yep, I was right there. Psalm 17 and 13. Arise, O Yahawah, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And this is King David, a Psalm of David. He knew that the Lord's sword was the wicked, which is the Edomites, right? Malachi 1 and 4 tells you the wicked are the Edomites. So the Most High uses the wicked as a whipping stick, as a sword against us. And that's why you see these ICE agents, pulling little kids out of apartment complexes, pulling them out butt naked. These are recent things that are happening in Babylon, America, which is against our people, you Edomites. But it's the sword of Yahawah, and it's judgment. That's what you Israelites need to understand. The Most High, Yahawah, Ba'ashem Yahushai, are judging you because of your wickedness, because of your wicked ways, because of your failure to acknowledge the true power Yahawah, Ba'ashem Yahushai. And this is all the Lord's will. He's going to eventually destroy all the 2/3, and He's going to use the Edomite weapon, which is his modern day sword, is his nuclear weapon, the waster. Okay? Are you getting it now? Are you starting to understand? The Most High lets these heathen devour our people because our people have they've become wicked, and all their worshiping false idols, going after the gods of the heathen. All these things are causing Yahawah to judge our people, and our people sit there and have no clue what's going on. But now He's set up His men as prophets, and we're here to break it down to you and blatantly explain it to you, so that maybe if you're of the elect, you might repent. That's the Bible. That's the whole point of the Bible. The Lord sets up His men to warn you before He's about to move on you with fierceness and fury and destruction. And you get mad and despise His word, despise His prophets, instead of realizing like, yo, maybe I should listen to these men. Maybe I should, hearken. Maybe I should repent if I'm an Israelite. Instead of despising his prophets, despising His teachers, because the words that we say are too harsh for you. It's like that tough love when your parents used to give you. If you had a father, sometimes your dad will give you tough love, right? You think he's picking on you, but he's actually trying to save your life. You see? So that's what it is, But, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. I think the point's been made. Our people are wicked as hell. They don't understand the judgments of Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai, because they've forgotten, Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai. They cast off that thing that is good. But I do want to grab 2nd Ezra, or no, let's see. It's not an Ezra. Let me see, 2nd Ezra 2. No, it's 6. Towards the end. It says 2nd Ezra 6 and 57. It says, "And now, O Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us." Okay? So you Israelites, you're being devoured by the heathen. The Lord Yahawah is allowing the so-called white man to use his sword, the wicked, which is his sword. We just read that in Psalm 17. He's allowing these Edomites, and in times past, all the other heathen nations, to devour you, whether it's culturally, traditionally, customs, or physically, just devouring you with, his sword, his weapons, putting you to death in the street, Because why? You left off from the thing that can profit you. You left off from the thing that can benefit you, which is Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai. So with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Rakah Kudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect. Shalom to the elect. Shalom.